Okay, welcome to those that are just joining. I'll just let it settle as people are joining the call. So yeah, welcome to all. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. So we still see some people coming in, so I'll just hold off a few seconds and then I'll get us going today. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll get us going. So yeah, hello, welcome to this afternoon. So as I said, wherever you are in the world, CMC Prosci webinar on an introduction to ADKAR. I'm Rhys Tompkins. I'll be leading the engagement in today's webinar. Some of you may have joined us this morning, so welcome again if you joined this morning's session with Quentin and Bethan. So yeah, if you are joining us again, welcome again. And yeah, today we're going to be talking about ADKAR. So I hope it's a nice little follow-up to what you discussed this morning. Welcome also to our contacts from Nexum. They were invited by Nexum, I think, yesterday. So welcome to you. We're pleased to have you all with us today for the first time since we came together as two organisations with Nexum at the back end of last year. So if you want to read more about CMC and Nexum and how we came together, if you head to our website, you'll find all the information there as well. Please note, this webinar is scheduled for half an hour, so shorter than usual. So hopefully we can fit into your lunch hour plans. It's covering over, depending on extensive interaction and questions that we receive. I will be popping the slides into the chat as always. If you can't see them, if you're using Zoom on a browser and you can't access the files, again, don't worry, we'll be sending an email out next week with links to slides for the webinar. So if you can't get them today, you will get them next week. In today's webinar, we also have a couple of polls that will appear on screen for you. So if you want to open up a separate browser window now, I'll also pop this URL into the chat for you as well. It's pollev.com/CMC Quentin. It's also on the bottom left-hand side of your screen as well. There, you can pop that into your browser window. If you pop that there, you'll be ready for our first poll, which will be running in a few minutes' time. This webinar is fully interactive, so feel free to ask any questions either in your chat pane or in the Q&A pane. All I'd note is that if you decide to use the chat pane, you won't be anonymous, so you won't have the option to remain anonymous. So if you'd like to ask a question without giving away your name, if you open up that Q&A pane, you'll have an option to tick a box that says remain anonymous. So if you'd like to remain anonymous, I use that Q&A pane to ask any questions. If you're new to us, we're CMC Partnership Global. For more than 20 years, we've been helping individuals and organizations develop their change skills. Our vision is change for good together, helping you to accelerate the delivery, adoption, and usage of new ways of working. CMC is the sole provider of Prosci change management training conducted in person and virtually across the UK, Ireland, Italy, and Singapore. We also have offices in South Africa and Switzerland, where we offer private training, which can also be facilitated globally at a venue of your choice. I mentioned earlier, as I welcomed in the Nexum contacts, since April 5th, CMC and Nexum, as I said, we came together at the back end of last year, but since the start of April, we've now become part of the Prosci family, which some of you may have heard of. We'll soon be coming Prosci Europe together with Nexum, so very exciting times for us. During our future sessions, we'll be sharing more information about this move with you. But in the meantime, if you want to read more about us and Nexum joining the Prosci family, again, head to our website or Nexum's website, and you'll find more sort of news article that were released at the start of the month there. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about that, head to our website and you'll find the information there. But anyway, our primary objective is still remaining the same, which is to enable you to manage and build your own change capability within your organization. So for more information regarding our Global and Prosci services, either chat into myself or get in touch via inquiry@cmcpartnership.com, or head to our website, cmcpartnership.com, and you'll find all the contact information there. There will also be a little small poll at the end as well. So if you'd like to tick any of the options there, we'll follow up with you, providing you with some more information. So let's get to this afternoon's webinar in the interest of time. So our presenter today is Quentin Osmond. Quentin is a Prosci certified change management practitioner and a Prosci certified advanced instructor. Based within our South Africa team, Quentin's experiences included both transitional and transformational change, ranging from large-scale system implementations to organizational culture initiatives. So with that, I'll hand over to Quentin to introduce you to today's webinar.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Reese, and good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. I'm going to be doing a quick introduction to ADKAR, I often refer to it as a cook's tour, in terms of how ADKAR came about, why ADKAR is so powerful, and also how you can use ADKAR going forward in not only your personal life, but also in your business dealings, in getting people to go through change. Reese, just before, can I just check, am I sharing okay and audio is fine?
Yeah, all okay on my side.
Excellent, thank you very much. Right, so what are we going to talk about today? As I mentioned, we're going to talk about ADKAR. We're going to talk about how ADKAR came about and how you can use it going forward. So 20 odd years ago, a gentleman by the name of Jeffrey Hyatt, who used to work for Bell Labs, was really struggling with their projects, and in particular sense, why they weren't getting return on investment or benefits from the projects that they were running. And it was really, really bugging him. And he tried to do some research work in terms of answering these two key questions. Why do some changes fail while others succeed? And what factors contributed to successful change? And then he delivered that white paper with 700 organizations in the year, 2000. And based on the research that he did, they extrapolated this ADKAR model from that. And this is really when ADKAR first came to the fore as a model. And just a reminder, ADKAR is the model for individual change. And what Jeff said was, the secret to successful change lies beyond the visible and busy activities that surround a change. Successful change at its core is rooted in something much simpler: how to facilitate change with one person, how to take one person from the way they do things now through a transition to the way they will do things in future. So part of that conversation was then saying, well, what's the root cause of not being successful? Why is it that we struggle so much with taking people from their current state through transition to the future state? It's not because we're doing terrible communication. It's not because we're doing terrible training. It's not because we're managing our projects in a poor or not very good way in terms of managing our triple constraint. The question became, how does this person make a successful individual transition? We are more alike than different. I've been fortunate enough in my career to have traveled to about 16 odd countries around the world and helping organizations with managing change and building organizational change competency. And one thing I've seen that is consistent, irrespective of the country, irrespective of the organization, irrespective of the projects and the types of projects people are running, the one thing that struck me with every single organization, every single project, is that people struggle with change. People really, really struggle with getting to do things in the new way. And that's really, in essence, where the ADKAR model comes along. It's a building block model. ADKAR consists of 5 building blocks: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. And it's a learned model that you can then take and apply, as I mentioned earlier on, to your personal life, to your business life. You can apply it to your kids, husbands, wives, colleagues, sponsors, people managers. Anyone who needs to go through a change needs to go through the ADKAR model. So successful individual change can be modeled and repeated. What this does is it gives you a structure and a way of helping people go through these transitions. So in what year did you first learn about the ADKAR model? In what year did you first learn about the ADKAR model? This is our first poll. I'm going to ask you to go to, can I just check? There we go. Oh, a little bit slow, yeah. 2021, we got someone coming through there. What year did you first find out? 2022, yes, coming through. So we got a whole bunch of newbies, if I can put it this way, to the ADKAR model. I was first introduced in 2008, I think it was. Yeah, so there's been some interesting developments, in terms of the use of the ADKAR model. Started off as the model for individual change, taking impacted people through transition. And if you get to a little bit later on in dealing with the CMC and Prosci, we got a webinar where we talk about that advanced applications of Prosci, so we can get into some of that detail. So for the newbies of you who are out there, this may still be quite familiar. I'm just going to take you through each of the elements, each of the building blocks of ADKAR. First one, when you want someone to change, you need to give them awareness. And I like to think of awareness from a couple of perspectives. Firstly, we need to understand at the organizational level, why does the organization need to change? What is the organization trying to achieve? What's the consequence to the organization of not changing? Why does the organization need to change now? So what we're talking about here is the nature of the change, why the change is needed, and the risk of the change. For me, also in awareness, people need to understand, how does this change affect me? What's the consequence to me of not changing? Why should I, what is it that I need to do differently as a result of this change? So it becomes very important and very important to understand that if we don't build awareness of the need for change with people, there could be some consequences. And for me, if someone has high awareness, you will hear them say, I know why. And awareness is not, I know that the change is coming. It's, I know why the change is coming. Once, if we don't start building awareness of the need for change in Prosci's research, they've actually found some risks of poor adoption and usage, some risks of people not engaging and participating in the change. It's a comprehensive list there. You got it in your handout. I'm not going to work through a huge amount of detail in terms of that. But if someone has high awareness, what they can then do is make a personal choice to engage and participate in the change. That's the second building block. That's where we talk about desire. People choose to change. People make that personal choice. People can typically make that personal choice if they know what's in it for me. If you force someone to change, you're not necessarily building desire. If you're forcing someone to change, all you're doing is building compliance. And I often joke with people, I say, if you're forcing desire and you get compliance, people will normally do just enough to stay out of trouble. You won't get buy-in into the change. So first building block, awareness. I know why I need to change. Second building block, desire, is I have chosen to change. And the interesting thing about desire is you can use it in different perspectives. I often say to people that some people change because of a burning desire. Some people change because of a burning platform. And this desire thing can be used in different ways to either create burning desire for a change, or in some cases, give people a burning platform where in some cases, the consequence of not changing could be worse. So here's a real simple example in terms of different ways of building desire with a campaign that was run in the US to get people to buckle up, to wear their seatbelts or safety belts when they were driving. So the one talks about buckle up, it could save your life. So that's a little bit around creating desire for the change. Buckle up, it's the law. Okay, maybe we're talking a little bit there about heading towards a burning platform, or the click it or the ticket, which is right, the consequence of not changing. If you do not buckle up, you could get a fine. So just different ways of building desire from that perspective. Now, if you think about it, when there is change, we build awareness of the need for change with people, hopefully because of that awareness, and they understand how it impacts them and the purpose or the objectives of the organization. They then have high desire to engage and participate in that change. The next thing we need to do is show people how to change. And this is where the K of knowledge comes in. Knowledge is typically done through training or coaching. And knowledge is about giving people skills and competencies to engage and give people skills and competencies to do the change. So if someone has high awareness, you will hear them say, I know why. If someone has high desire, you might hear them say, I desire this change, or I buy into the change. If someone has high knowledge, you will hear them say, I know how to do things in the new way. So as I mentioned, knowledge about skills and competencies typically done through training or coaching. Now, we run many training programs at Prosci and CMC. And I often have to remind people that, you may want to attend one of our training programs. You may have great awareness of what we cover and how we do it. Because of that, you will have high desire to attend a training program. On the training program, we give you skills and knowledge and resources and methodologies and online tools and all these wonderful things to show you how. But unless you take what you have learned on a training program or during coaching and start demonstrating the ability, nothing will change. So ability is really about getting people to do what they have learned in the knowledge phase. Other words that resonate with me for ability are action, practicing, demonstrating, doing, applying. It's all about taking what you have learned in the knowledge phase and applying it to the change itself. One thing you need to consider when taking people through their ADKAR journeys, and this is particularly from a training point of view. I've conducted training sessions, and one organization particularly sticks out for me. Is I was actually delivering a leading your teams through change training session, which is for managers in terms of their role during change. And our session started at 8 a.m. and at about 8:30, someone popped into the room and said, "Is this the change management thing?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "Great." They went to sit down, and I said, "Are you sure you're meant to be here?" And they said to me, "Yes." I said, "Well, how do you know?" They said, "Well, when I got back to my desk, my boss said I need to come through to this training session." So through the lenses of ADKAR, that person had no awareness of the need to be there. I can guarantee you they had no desire to be there because they hadn't planned to be away from their desk for a day. So there was work piling up and waiting for them. And now they were in a training session where we were trying to build knowledge. So in that training session, how much knowledge do you really think was built with that person? So it's important to understand that we need to build awareness and desire before we get into the knowledge phase. And then we need to understand that gap between what we've trained them on and that demonstrated capability from a ability point of view. Then once people start doing things in the new way in ability, we need to reinforce the change with them. Reinforcement makes sure that the change sticks. Reinforcement makes sure that people don't go back to the old way of doing things. Reinforcement makes sure that Excel spreadsheets that all of a sudden appeared after implementation don't happen or disappear soon after implementation. It's about catching people doing things right and rewarding and recognizing them for doing it. So I'm just going to give you a little example. And if for those of you who have traveled and stayed in hotels and motels and all these things, this is something that will look very familiar to you. It's that Save Our Planet. It was something that was started around conserving water in essence. So Save Our Planet, dear guest, every day millions of gallons of water are used to wash towels that have only been used once. Through the lenses of ADKAR, we're building awareness. You make the choice, which is about building the desire. Knowledge, what do I have to do? A towel on the rack means I will use it again. A towel on the floor means please replace. So there is about demonstrating the ability. And the reinforcement is about appealing to your conscience. Thank you for helping us conserve the earth vital resources, which is where the reinforcement part comes in from that perspective. So understanding the model and getting someone to go through the model is one thing. Now, if you have a little piece of paper and a pen handy, I'd like to run just a little exercise with you. I'd like you to think about a change that you are having difficulty making. So personally, something you need to do think, act, or feel differently, a change you need to go through, or even a change you are trying to see in someone else and they are not changing. Okay. Now, on a piece of paper, I'd like you to just write down some numbers, and this is how the ADKAR model works. It works on a rating scale of 1 through to 5. So if I look at awareness as an example, a 1 is no awareness at all of the need to change, the consequence of not changing, the impact of the change. A 5 is complete awareness. I know everything. I know why. And then apply that thinking to design, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. So think about this change, and then I'd like you to write down a score of 1 to 5. What is your awareness or this person's awareness of the need to change? As it relates to desire, I'd like you to put in a number from 1 to 5. What is their desire to, or your desire to engage and participate in this change? Have you made that decision, or have they made that decision? Knowledge, do you know how to change? Or does that person know how to do things in the new way? Do they have the skills and competencies to do it? That's the knowledge. A number from 1 to 5, please. And then as it relates to ability, the ability to implement the required skills and behavior, are they doing things in the new way? Are they practicing? Are they demonstrating? Is there action on a rating scale of 1 to 5? And then under reinforcement is what reinforcement are we doing or are they doing to carry on doing things in the new way? Is there reward and recognition? And is there, for example, public recognition happening in that space? So are we doing things to make sure people don't go back to the old way of doing things? So that's how you would firstly, through the lenses of ADKAR, start doing some assessment work around the change. What we then need to do is ask the question, well, what is stopping this person from changing? And this is where the concept of the barrier point comes in. So what I've got here are 4 examples of where or how a barrier point could be in an ADKAR. So all I've done here is taken those numbers and equated it into some bar graphs. So in example 1 on the top left, now the way we define a barrier point is the first score of 3 or less, not the lowest score, the first score of 3 or less. So in the first example, my barrier point there would be at ability, someone struggling to do things in the new way. In my second example, the barrier point, even though desire is the lowest score, the first score of 3 or less is awareness. As it relates to the third example, you can see desire is the barrier point there, pretty easy. And also in the fourth one, the barrier point there is awareness. So here's an interesting question for you. If you, for example, have done an ADKAR for someone else going through change, think about this. I'd like you to circle that barrier point, the first score of 3 or less. And my question to you is this: where are you spending your energy? Are you spending your energy in the right place? So are you spending your energy to address their barrier point, or are you spending your energy on something that is not their barrier point? So I'd like you to keep your poll EV open. And then just for those of you who are on the call with us here, I'd like you to do a little pin drop. What is the barrier point for the individual in your personal ADKAR example, either your barrier point or the person you are assessing? Just do a pin drop there under awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, or reinforcement. Let's see what we're getting in here. Okay. 2 desires, 3 desire, 1 awareness, a couple more under desire. It's interesting. It's the most common barrier points we tend to see across individual personal change. So for the person at barrier points at awareness, what you want to focus on is things like communication and giving them information about the reasons for the change. Those people under desire, I might give you some insight on the next slide. So it's important to understand the barrier point, because then you can identify the actions that you need to take to assist them. So as I mentioned, awareness, I know why. Desire, I have decided to engage and participate in the change. Knowledge, I know how to change. Ability, I'm able to demonstrate the change. And reinforcement, I will continue to do the change. So how do you build awareness? Well, you need to give people the why now, and what if we don't? Why should I engage in this change now? And from a desire point of view, What's in it for me? The WIFM, what's in it for me? You can leverage personal motivators, organizational motivators, things like this change will be good for you. It will be good for the organization. This change will give you greater exposure. This change will help you be part of the solution that's actually been designed. This change may create some greater exposure for you in the organization. So you can leverage personal organizational motivators as well. Knowledge on how to change within the context of A&D, as I said, make sure people have the right levels of awareness and desire before you send them on training. And there's two parts to that knowledge thing. One, knowledge on what is changing. So you need to train people on the new business process. You need to train them on the new system that they're using. You need to train them on the new behaviors that they need to exhibit. But you also need to train them on change management. If someone knows and understands ADKAR, it's much easier to take them through their transition. As it relates to ability, you may need to remove some barriers or create some capacity for people to start doing things in the new way so that they can practice doing things in the new way, and also give you some time to coach them through the transition. As it relates to reinforcements, it's those mechanisms like updating people's performance measures. It's like updating job descriptions to make sure that the change is aligned to what they do on a daily basis, but also rewarding and recognizing them for doing things right. Jeffrey Hart and Tim Creasy, in a book called Change Management, The People Side of Change, said, organizations don't change, individuals do. And the total benefit that will be received from a change is made up of the sum total of each and every individual doing things in the new way. So the ADKAR model defines successful change and scale. You can apply it to one person, 5 people, 20 people, or even 1,000 people, but understanding how you would scale and customize your change management effort to make sure it is aligned to the people who are impacted by change. So if you just look at a simple example here, and something that's really blings. Let's try that again. Something that brings clarity in terms of the use of ADKAR. It actually grows as the impact of our change actually becomes clearer. So often at the beginning of a change, we communicate things like we're implementing a new CRM system. The ADKAR journey, what is changing is a little bit blurry in terms of understanding that. As projects progress, we will have a medium impact on your job. The impact on ADKAR here becomes a little bit clearer. And then it becomes really clear where through, if you use the Prosci methodology, the 10 aspects of impact become clearer for you to then understand what the change journey is that each person needs to go through. Not following an ADKAR approach in your organization has consequences. Not following an ADKAR approach in your organization has consequences. Some examples: if you don't build awareness and desire with the people impacted, you're going to get them asking the same questions over and over, and you're going to get some productivity losses. If you don't focus on knowledge and ability through training and coaching, as an example, you'll have a greater impact on customers and partners, or you get lower utilization or incorrect utilization of the solution. People aren't using the solution in the right way. Without reinforcement, people go back to the old way of doing things. How do you build ADKAR? Well, you need structure. And this is where the Prosci methodology comes in. We talk about preparing approach, managing change, sustaining outcomes. It's the enabling framework for leading people through change so that they can achieve success. Sitting at the center of the Prosci methodology is ADKAR. We prepare approach, we manage change, we sustain outcomes on our projects and in our organization, because the outcome of those 3 phases is ADKAR in the individuals who are impacted by change. So what we've spoken about here in this very quick Cook's tour, the 5 building blocks of successful change: awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. We've done a little exercise where you can assess either your own or someone else's ADKAR. You can apply it to organizational change at scale, depending on how many people are impacted by the change. And what you will find, it starts creating a common language and methodology for change. Last question from me: what change challenge are you going to unlock this week with ADKAR? That's not a poll. What I'd like you to think about, how can you apply this in your business life, in your personal life, to help both you and others through transition, so that you can be successful. I was going to put them on, but I really don't look good with them on, so I'll just show you on camera. We often say through the lenses of ADKAR, and just to prove I do actually have those lenses. Right, so that's it from my side. Thank you very much for the time. I hope you enjoyed your little lunchtime chat, and maybe for some of you a reinforcement of ADKAR. And I'm just going to check with Reese. Any questions in the chat, Reese?
No questions that have come through. So obviously we've covered everything.
Yep.
So yeah, I can wrap us up today if that's all, Quentin.
Yep, go for it. I'm done. Over to you, Reese.
Great stuff. Yeah. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us once again. And yeah, those who joined maybe this morning's session as well. So double the webinars for today. So yeah, thanks for everyone that's joined us over the course of the 2 sessions. So yeah, there's what's it, a couple of weeks to the next webinar there. So yeah, Friday the 12th of May. It's fueling the ambition to be a leader of change. So any managers in the room, this one's for you. All about the role of managers in change. So if that's of interest to you, make sure you register for that one. And then, of course, you can see some of the other topics that we've got coming up in the future as well. But if you head to the website, you'll find all the registrations details there. I can see one question in the chat about video. So yeah, so we have recorded the session. So when we follow up with you all next week, just to say thanks for joining, providing the slides. We'll also provide a link to the recording as well. So yeah, just before we finish, we do have one final poll that I'll just launch here. It should pop up on screen. So if you're aware of any of the Prosci solutions and you decide, oh, you might be interested in that, but you require a bit more information, or you'd like to ask us a few questions, tick the selection. You can see some of them are quite general, so training for me or training for my organization. This is just so that when we do get in touch with you, we can find the correct solution for you. So we're always making sure that yeah, whenever we do send you one direction or another, that it is the right solution for you. So just tick the selection. I'll pass those details on to one of my colleagues, and then early part of next week, or some point next week, they will be in touch with you to offer you the opportunity to gain some more information around what it is you require and what may be the best solution for you. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your day. We hope to see you on another webinar or one of our events very soon. Have a great weekend, and thanks very much to you as well, Quentin.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend, everyone.